All right, it's finally time. In today's video, we're gonna try and put the motor in this thing. If you're new here, this is my 1930 coupe that I've turned into a pickup truck. It's sitting on a 4x4 Jeep frame. And in today's video, you're gonna see what kind of engine we're gonna use to power this thing. Since everything gets worse before it gets better, the first thing I'm gonna do is take some of this front end off. I wanna get the headlights, the grille, and the hood shell off of this thing so that we have room to shove the engine in. So I guess we'll do that real quick. So much room for activities. All right, let's go on a quest. All right, so what do we got here? This here is a 4BT, which is a 4-cylinder Cummins turbo diesel. If you followed along with the last build, the 40, you know that thing has a 6BT, which is a 6-cylinder B-series Cummins engine. And I've always wanted the 4BT because they're just sweet. So this here is basically the exact same thing as the 6BT, just two of the cylinders lopped off the back of it. If you know anything about these motors, you know they are super hard to come by. They didn't come in a lot of over-the-road vehicles. Basically, the only thing that they came in that drove down the road were bread trucks, and that's what this motor came out of. They were in a lot of skid steers and sky tracks, a lot of heavy equipment type things, but supposedly this was a 92 bread truck, had a turbo 400 behind it. We're not going to be using that. The price of these things is just skyrocketing right now. I paid almost triple the price of the 12 valve for this thing, but I've had it for a little while. I just was searching for something to put it in. I always thought it would be sweet to have the big version, my 6-cylinder, the 40, and then have a little baby version of this truck, an older version with a smaller engine in it, a little 4-cylinder diesel. So that's what we're gonna put in this thing. It's a 3.9 liter, non-intercooled. I don't think I'm gonna run an intercooler on this one. I don't know, maybe in the future I might. Got a little baby turbo on it. It says remanufactured on this, so I don't know if just the turbo was rebuilt or the whole motor. I'm probably gonna pull it apart, at least look at it and see what we got going inside it. I did see the thing run beforehand, but I don't wanna just trust seeing it run. I wanna look inside and at least inspect it some. How can you tell it's a Cummins? Well, because the thing leaks oil everywhere. I did clean this up before I brought it in here, so you don't get to see all the oil that was on it, but the thing was just covered in grease and oil. But wait, there's more. So what are we gonna put behind this thing? Well, I got another 5-speed. This is an NV 4500, the exact same transmission that I have in the 40. This is a different transfer case than I have in the 40, though. I'm not sure what the exact number is on this transfer case. But the transfer case in the 40 is a passenger drop. This is a driver's side drop. So this is what we're gonna be using. Okay, so I guess I need to talk a little bit more about why I chose this. Basically, I want this truck to look more and sound more like an old farm truck or something that you might see back in the 1930s. But I want it to be completely unique, but more of a sleeper type unique. You know, basically the 40 you can see coming from 2 miles away. You can hear it coming from 2 miles away, but that is a straight up show truck. It's definitely unique, and it's cool in its own way, but I want this to be completely the opposite of the 40. I want it to be more of a sleeper build, not in the sense of it being a fast car. I just want it to be more of all the modifications that are done to it are inconspicuous until you get up close and start looking at it and realize this thing is a 4-cylinder diesel 4-wheel drive pickup truck when it was a 2-wheel drive coupe to begin with. The last build, the internet went crazy because they were upset that I put a Chrysler engine in a Chevy pickup truck, so hopefully this time they'll be okay with a Chrysler engine going in a Chrysler body sitting on top of a Chrysler frame. This engine only puts out about 105 horsepower, and when it runs, it kind of sounds like a lawnmower, which I think will sound really cool as this thing just putzing along down the road, puffing a little bit of black smoke out the back. Anyway, that's enough talking. I think the next thing we need to do is get this transmission mated up to the engine so that we can start to stick it in and maybe build some motor mounts. All right, first thing I want to do is take this front drive shaft off because it's just going to be in the way for now. Just don't let the internet see me doing this. The first time I finished the 40 and got it on the road, I went to a car show and I did not have the front drive shaft yet, and everybody on the internet had a problem with that. But luckily I was able to pull in and out of the car show no problem without having to put it into 4-wheel drive, so I guess I survived. Okay, since these Dodge engines are modular, meaning they put them in a variety of applications, they have an adapter plate that bolts to the back of the motor so that you can bolt a transmission or a generator or whatever the application was to the back of this. So we're going to bolt this adapter plate on here. I'm not going to put a clutch on here right now. Typically you would bolt the flywheel to the crankshaft right here, but we're just doing this for mock-up, so we'll worry about that later. Next I'm going to put the bell housing on the front of the transmission. All right, next we're going to bolt the transmission to the engine. Best part about working on diesels is that everything is heavy as crap and I can't lift any of it, so here we go. All right, next thing I'm going to do is try and stuff this into the frame over here, but I don't think it's going to go in through the front because I think there's too much space between the front of the frame and where the engine needs to sit. So I think I'm going to have to take one of these fenders off, possibly this wheel off, and then come in at an angle. I'll have more room that way. So I think I'm going to pop this fender off and this wheel off, put it on a jack stand, then I can get the engine in on an angle. All right, wish me luck. All right, just got off the struggle bus, but I got this thing kind of sitting where it needs to be. Looks like it's gonna fit. Was definitely glad I went ahead and made this crossmember removable in the last episode because I was about to weld it in 100%, but that definitely gave me way more room to get this thing in here. I can still move the engine back a little bit more, a little bit closer to the firewall, but you can see here if this was a 6BT like on my other truck, there'd still be 2 more of these rocker covers that have to go into the firewall. So you can see how much I had to cut out on the last build, but this one I'm not gonna have to cut anything out of the firewall. Inside the cab, you can see this thing's taking up all the floor real estate, but that's all right. We're gonna build some structure around all this. It's not 100% where it needs to be yet. I'm still fine tuning everything, and then we'll build some motor mounts, but it's looking good. All right, I got the motor sitting where it needs to be. Next, we're gonna build some motor mounts. These are the motor mounts we're gonna be using. I believe these are for a Corvette. They're hydraulic filled. The reason we're gonna use such a thick and I guess dampening motor mount is because these engines inherently run rough. You know, it's only a 4-cylinder, so there's only 4 power strokes in the thing. So they do run rough, and these will help isolate the vibrations of the engine, but I'm going to try and use these factory brackets that come on the 4BT before anybody says anything. Yes, they're on an angle. I assume that's because of the parameters they were working with and the bread truck that it was in. So instead of having to build an entirely new bracket that bolts to the engine, I'm just going to use those factory ones. So when you look at these, they're going to look like they're crooked, but that's just the way they are from the factory. So this is going to go up here, just like that. And now we just got to build some metal to attach it to. Okay, this is going to be the bottom portion of the motor mount. It's going to sit underneath it like this. We just got to cut some metal. Ha! All right, that sits in there like that, and no brackets complete without a couple of gussets. So we're gonna make some gussets. We're gonna weld on the side. Just like that. What? All right, this is the gusset for the side. Just gonna tack that in place. Also made another one for the front of it. Just gonna tack these in place real quick. Okay, just went ahead and pulled the motor mount out. Now I can weld it up fully, and this is what it looks like. Okay, there it is, all welded up. Looks really good. Next, we're gonna put this back in there and weld it to the frame. Okay, just got that all welded up. It looks pretty beefy. Now we gotta do the same for the driver's side. All right, over here on the driver's side, the factory bracket that holds the motor mount sits too low, so unfortunately I don't think I'm gonna be able to use this one on this side, so we're gonna have to remake this entire piece. I want it to sit up a little higher, kind of in the same position as the passenger side, so we're gonna take this off and then start making a new bracket. Okay, this is what I'm thinking for this part. A little something like that. I want to try and weld onto this bracket that supports the fuel pump. It's going to help make it stronger, so that's what I'm going to cut. All right, here's the cut piece. I had to put a little jog in it, and this is going to go right here. I'm just going to tack this to that bracket, then pull it out and fully weld it. All right, there's that all welded up. I'm going to put this back in, and then we're going to make another bracket that goes on top of it. All right, with that in place, motor mount's going to sit about right here, and then this little bracket is going to go on top of it and weld to that like that. Okay, we're going to put this right here. All right, with that tacked in place, I'm gonna pull it back out and put some gussets on it. All right, got that motor mount all gusseted up. Now I gotta throw it back in there, and then I can start building the lower motor mount. All right, here's the lower mount. It's gonna sit like that. Now we're gonna weld some gussets on it. All right, these are the gussets that I made. I just gotta weld this together, then I can weld it into the frame. Okay, finished welding that up and then bolted the top portion back on. Looks pretty strong. I ended up taking the engine hoist out and then taking the jack stands out also, so it's sitting under its own weight. You can see the engine sitting nice and level. Here's the other motor mount. Next thing I gotta do is build the mount for the transmission. Okay, so the transmission is sitting directly in the center of the frame rails. That's where I need it to sit. We need to build a cross member that's going to go underneath, connecting both frame rails, but supporting the transmission. So what's my plan? Well, the plan is I don't have a plan. I have no idea what I want to do right now. So first thing I'm going to do is take this old mount off, and then we're going to start building something off of that. It's probably going to be two pieces, a part that's going to mount the rubber bushings that's going to support the transmission, and then the cross member will be separate from that mount. But first thing I'm going to do is take this old mount off. Okay, first I'm going to cut some of this 2-inch DOM, and these are going to hold some bushings that are going to mount to the transmission. Okay, I got these poly bushings. These are going to go inside of these. Just like that. And then the sleeve goes inside of those. This is going to go right here. Now I can build a cross member that's going to attach to these poly mounts so that the transmission's not solid mounted to the frame. Okay, this is what the cross member is going to look like. Now I'm just going to weld this all together. This is 2x2 1/4-inch wall square tube. It should be plenty strong enough. Okay, here's the cross member all welded up. Now I gotta find a way to mount this underneath the truck. All right, this is how that cross member sits underneath the frame. This side sticks up really high so that I'll have room to run the exhaust under here when it comes time to build the exhaust. You can see on this side, there's plenty of room for the front drive shaft coming off the transfer case. Now I just got to build a mount that's going to come up over this so that I have something to bolt this cross member to. First thing I want to do is put a plate on this joint from when I extended the frame. Now that temporary cross member's out of the way, this is going to go here, and then I can weld the support to this. All right, got that plate welded on there, and then I went ahead and welded some tabs on the cross member up here, and then I made these, and these are going to sit over the cross member just like that. Now I just got to weld these on here. All right, just threw the sheet metal on the front real quick to see what it looks like, and this thing is looking sweet. Here's the transmission cross member all welded up. Here's what it looks like from underneath. Should be plenty of room to run the exhaust through this side once I get to that point. All right, so there it is, my diesel-powered 1930s custom-built pickup truck. Let me know in the comments down below how much I ruined this thing by doing this. Just kidding. Now that you know a little bit more about where I want to go with this project and how it's going to look when it's finished, I need to come up with a name for this thing because I don't know what to call it. I've been just calling it a 30s pickup so far. But if you guys have any suggestions on what I should call it, the other truck is the 40. I don't want to call this the 30. I want to call it something else, but I have no idea what I should call it. If you have any ideas, leave a comment below. No idea what I'm going to do in the next video, but there's definitely a ton of work that needs to be done to this thing. I still don't have a floor. I got to build an interior. I got to get a bed for it. Lots of things to do. Still more to come, and I guess make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss future videos, and I'll see you on the next one.